Welcome to Displorer and thanks for watching. In this video, we shall be presenting the top 10 longest serving African presidents. Africa is home to a vast majority of longest serving presidents in the world. Although a few leaders respect the constitution of their countries and step down when needed, a vast majority of African leaders are addicted to power. They continue to disregard their country's own constitutions and laws governing presidential tenure. Most of these African presidents have flouted election laws, splashed taxpayers' cash on expensive hotels and cars while clinging desperately to power. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. Without any further ado, here are the top 10 longest serving African presidents in 2019. Number 10. Pierre Nkurunziza, President of Burundi. Pierre Nkurunziza is a Burundian politician who's been President of Burundi since 2005. He was the chairman of the National Council for the Defense of Democracy Forces for the Defense of Democracy, the ruling party, until he was elected President of Burundi. In 2015, Nkurunziza was controversially nominated by his party for a third term in office. Supporters and opponents of Nkurunziza disagreed as to whether it was legal for him to run again, and protests followed. More than 2 months of anti-Nkurunziza protests, which were often violently repressed, left at least 100 dead. A coup attempt against Nkurunziza occurred on May 13, 2015 while he was out of the country. The coup leader Godefroid Niyombare claimed to have outstated the president, although Nkurunziza loyalists disputed the claim. Facing resistance from Nkurunziza loyalists, the coup collapsed and forces loyal to Nkurunziza appeared to be back in full control by the 15th of May. Nkurunziza has been president of Burundi for 14 years. Number 9. Faure Gnassingbé, President of Togo. Before assuming the presidency, he was appointed by his father, President Gnassingbé Eyadema, as Minister of Equipment, Mines, Post and Telecommunications, serving from 2003 to 2005. Following President Eyadema's death in 2005, Gnassingbé was immediately installed as president with support from the army. Doubts regarding the constitutional legitimacy of the succession led to heavy regional pressure on Gnassingbé, and he subsequently resigned on the 25th of February. He then won a controversial presidential election on the 24th of April 2005 and was sworn in as the President of Togo. He's been in power for 14 years, 6 months as of the time of recording this video. Number 8. Paul Kagame, President of Rwanda. Paul Kagame is a Rwandan politician and former military leader. He's the fourth and current president of Rwanda, having taken office in 2000 when his predecessor, Pastor Bizimungu, resigned. Kagame previously commanded the rebel forces that ended the 1994 incident in Rwanda. He was considered Rwanda's de facto leader when he served as vice president and minister of defense from 1994 to 2000. After several formalities, Paul Kagame was sworn in as the president of Rwanda on April 2000, and for 19 years he's been at the helm of the country, making him the 8th longest serving president in Africa. Despite his longevity in power, he's still amongst the most loved presidents in Africa. Number 7. Ismail Gwele, President of Djibouti. Ismail Omar Gwele is the second and current president of Djibouti, having been in office since 1999. He's often referred to in his region by his initials IOG. Gwele was first elected as president in 1999 as hand-picked successor to his uncle Hassan Guled Abtidon, who had ruled Djibouti since independence in 1999. Gwele was re-elected in 2005, 2011 and again in 2016. The 2011 election was largely boycotted by the opposition amidst complaints over widespread irregularities. Gwele has been characterized as a dictator and his rule has been criticized by some human rights groups. He took office for the first time on May 8, 1999, and for 20 years and 5 months he's been the president of Djibouti. Number 6. Isaias Afwerki, President of Eritrea. Isaias Afwerki, born on the 2nd of February 1946, is the first and current president of Eritrea, a position he's held since after the Eritrean War for Independence in 1993. He led the Eritrean People's Liberation Front to victory in May 1991, ending the 30-year-old war for independence. Isaias is the leader of Eritrea's sole legal political party, the People's Front for Democracy and Justice. He's been cited for human rights violation by the United Nations and Amnesty International. In 2015, Reporters Without Borders ranked Eritrea under the government of President Isaias Afwerki last in its Press Freedom Index for the 8th year running. Isaias Afwerki became the president of Eritrea in 1993, and for 26 years he's been the only president the country has ever known. Number 5. Idriss Déby Itno, President of Chad. General Idriss Déby Itno is the 6th and current president of Chad. He is also head of the Patriotic Salvation Movement. Déby took part at the head of a rebellion against President Hissène Habré in December 1990 and has since survived various rebellions against his own rule. He won elections in 1996 and 2001, and after term limits were eliminated, he won again in 2006, 2011 and 2016. He added Itno to his surname in January 2006. He's a graduate of Muammar Gaddafi's World Revolution Center. He's been the president of Chad for 29 years since he became president in December 1990. Number 4. Yoweri Museveni, President of Uganda. Yoweri Museveni, born on the 15th of September 1944, is a Ugandan politician who's been the president of Uganda since 1986. Coming to power as president of Uganda in 1986, Museveni was initially celebrated as part of a new generation of democratic African leaders. Museveni was involved in rebellions that toppled notorious Ugandan leaders Idi Amin between 1971 and 1979 and Milton Obote between 1980 and 1985 before capturing power in the 80s. In the mid to late 1990s, Museveni was celebrated by the West as part of a new generation of African leaders. Museveni was sworn in as president on the 29th of January 1986 and has been the president of Uganda for 33 years. Number 3. Denis Sassou Nguesso, President of the Republic of Congo. Sassou Nguesso has had 2 separate stints in the top job in the Republic of Congo. He was the president from 1979 to 1992 before returning to power in 1997 during the country's second civil war. Like many others, he's courted controversy. Violence and vote rigging have become common features in his election campaigns, while human rights abuse and corruption have reportedly been widespread during his time in office. In September 2006, during the United Nations General Assembly, his entourage reportedly racked up a hotel and room service bills of about $230,000, more than the amount of humanitarian aid the country received from Britain the same year. The following year, Global Witness published documents that appear to show his son, Denis Christel Nguesso, had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of oil revenue on shopping sprees in Paris and Dubai. Sassou Nguesso has been the president of the Republic of Congo for 35 years, making him the 3rd longest serving president in Africa in 2019. Number 2. Paul Biya, President of Cameroon. Cameroon's president had his first taste of political power as prime minister in 1975 before assuming the presidency 7 years later. Often described as an absentee landlord because of his frequent holidays abroad, Mr. Biya has been accused of rigging elections and changing the constitution to further his rule. His rule has been met with a lot of election irregularities as well as political and civil unrest. He survived several coup attempts and he adopted the nickname Lion Man in 1990 after Cameroon's national team, the Indomitable Lions, reached the quarterfinals of the World Cup. Biya is currently the 2nd president of the Republic of Cameroon and one of the oldest presidents in Africa. He became the president in November 1982 and for 37 years he's been the head of the country. Number 1. Teodoro Obiangema, President of Equatorial Guinea. The leader of the tiny oil-rich nation of Equatorial Guinea became the longest-serving president in the world in 2011, following the death of Libya's leader of 42 years old, Muammar Gaddafi. Obiang rose to power in 1979 when he ousted his uncle, Francisco Macias Nguema, in a bloody military coup. He's been re-elected every 7 years following coups that international observers have repeatedly condemned as fraudulent. During his rule, part of the population have prospered, with the country boasting of one of the highest per capita incomes on the continent. But according to Human Rights Watch, roughly half of the population lacks access to potable water, while life expectancy and infant mortality rate is below the sub-Saharan average. Meanwhile, Mr. Obiang and his family have amassed considerable personal wealth. Last month, his son was sentenced to a 3-year suspended jail term for corruption by a French court. Obiangema has been the president of Equatorial Guinea for 40 years and holds the record for the longest serving non-royal president in the world, and of course Africa. There you have it, explorers. Those were the top 10 longest serving African leaders in 2019. A wind of change is beginning to blow in Africa, and more young and vibrant Africans are beginning to take up strategic positions in their various countries. We'd like to know, what do you think can be done to have African leaders respect the constitutions in their various countries and actually step down when it's time for them to do so? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and the best comment will be given a shout out in our subsequent videos. Thanks for watching this video. If you want us to cover any of your top 10 topics, please leave your suggestion in the comment section below, and do not forget to subscribe and share with your friends.